As the Mayoral Committee member for Safety and Security, amongst other things, I also need to attend to special portfolio committee meetings such as the one a few days ago where I represented the city. In this meeting, members of the Provincial Parliament as well as several taxi industry role players discussed the crisis surrounding the public transport industry, with the violence culminating from two of the mother bodies within the taxi industry. With our new Provincial Minister of Transport, Dalen Mitchell, already showing courage in making bold decisions, and with our new Provincial Commissioner of the South African Police, Lieutenant General Patekile, also proving his worth over the last 2 weeks, I decided to again clearly define where the problem lies in our legislation and to put the blame clearly where it belongs, at the feet of national government in their failure to review national legislation in a manner that there is general consensus around.
I want to just underscore something that MEC Mitchell highlighted. For me, at the root of much of this conflict lies a regulatory framework that is contributing to the conflict. It's imperative that the many legislative gaps and the weaknesses need to be closed and fixed through the Provincial Traffic Act. The city has made extensive input on that act. It's an almost pointless endeavor for our enforcement day by day with laws that allow repeat offenders just to carry on. Last night when we were at the pound, these owners whose vehicles we're impounding come around. They're repeat offenders, their vehicles have been repeatedly impounded. They carry on doing the same thing. They see the impounding as a business expense, and it's an affordable business expense. So we need to see the revoking of the operating licenses for these repeat offenders. We need to see the revoking of licenses, permits, and vehicles, Chair, and yes, vehicles for repeat offenders, owners who put an unlicensed driver with no PRDP, no operating permit in an unroadworthy vehicle, which is overloaded, which I saw myself last night, where passengers are standing in that brand new vehicle which you bought in April. Those are repeat offenders. There must be some kind of more meaningful consequence to this. Otherwise, the enforcement work we do just doesn't beget meaningful behavior change in the industry. So the city has finalized its traffic bylaw, and that will be approved by council in the next couple of months. That will also add some ability. But the critical matter is that these murders and those that pay the triggerman are brought to book. And I think SAPS have taken important first steps to do that. I just want to say, Chair, that it should almost be required reading for your portfolio committee members, your standing committee members, to read Mark Shaw's Hitman for Hire. It's obligatory reading if you want to participate in this debate. And Chair, there is a point that has come up many times with various role players, that the role played by the mother bodies is perhaps no longer helpful and perhaps no longer serves the public interest and the interest of the transport sector and the operators or the commuting public. The city has experience with organized crime groups or syndicates in various industries that it's had to deal with, and informal trading had a similar dynamic where the middlemen played a very harmful and destructive role, where syndicates held these trading opportunities, and then the informal traders who had to rely on them were the constant victims of the syndicated and organized crime behavior. So we can resolve that, as we did, by giving permits directly to the traders and not using the middlemen. This same approach can be taken with the operating licenses for the minibus taxis, where the applicants should be applying directly to the regulatory body without membership of the mother bodies being a prerequisite. And that achieves a prosperous open opportunity society. And the city is hoping that amendments of legislation is something that your committee can drive. With regards to the comments of Mr. Ahmed, I just want to confirm what he said around the extortion rackets. The associations are playing a major role in these extortion rackets. 2 weeks ago, while out on enforcement operations with the staff, I observed us being called for assistance by SAPS. In Kailicha, an e-hailing vehicle had been, in quotes, impounded. In other words, as Mr. Ahmed correctly says, hijacked. The mother body was one of these mother bodies was completely involved in that extortion. Upon searching the offices, we found a firearm of a deceased member, which was illegally stored in the premises, and many people's ID books and driver's licenses and stuff that they had, in quotes, impounded. This is a serious matter, and the associations are directly involved in it, not tangentially, not accidentally, not some of their members. This was happening out of the office of one of these mother bodies. And then with regards on Tarka's comments, Chair, it just underscores the need to detach the operating conditions from the membership of the mother bodies. The city really wants to help them against the thugs who don't want peace and who engage in these extortion rackets. And at the scheduled meeting we have with them, I will supply them with contact details so that they have nodal people within our service who can respond immediately when one of their vehicles is hijacked, as we did on that Friday night. We really want to assist. And then, Chair, finally, I understand that this is not an operational forum. This is a legislative and oversight body. But I want to appeal to you to help us address the issues raised by doing the one thing that your body is meant to do and is able to do, and that's legislate. There are many legislative gaps and weaknesses that need to be closed, and I see the Provincial Traffic Act and your concurrent legislative powers in terms of the Constitution and Schedule 4 and 5B of the Constitution as a tool to do that. To revoke operating licenses of repeat offenders, to make better laws that create meaningful consequences for the repeat offenders who drive recklessly, skip traffic lights, drive on sidewalks, drive against oncoming traffic lanes, push others off the road, overload, and just generally treat their commuters with contempt. So we need to start seeing the revoking of those licenses and serious consequences for owners who put an unlicensed vehicle in their vehicle, like we saw last night, where the owner shows up in an extremely expensive vehicle within minutes of his vehicle being stopped with 3 men in the vehicle with him to come and intimidate the traffic officer. And thank goodness there were more of us present to assist. Chair, you can't fix the operational reality and you can't change the criminal justice realities, but you can, and I would say you must, change the legislation at whatever level, provincial level if need be, with your concurrent legislative mandate, and in this term of office, to just help us bring to order this industry. Whatever happens at national is great, but provincial government must certainly.
We can no longer accept the excuses while the criminal syndicates are allowed to flourish. It's time for the country to get behind us and call on national government to change the legislation.